Are you planning on playing 1.2 of Zenless Zone Zero? Or are you thinking of just skipping through the story? Well, before you do any of that, let me give you a spoiler-free review on 1.2 to judge whether or not you should be playing through the story. So let's just get on with it, shall we? So, my initial thoughts after playing through it, because I've literally just done it today, it is a very good story. Without giving too much away, you know how I said the best thing that the Zenless devs do when it comes to these stories is making you understand these characters and actually appreciate what the characters do and appreciate the characters in a different way. Yeah, 1.2 story chapter 4 does that as always, right? Great at establishing the faction, great at establishing the Sons of Caledon, and great at establishing what they do. I think in terms of what they bring to the table and where we've been prior, it's very, very good, right? So we know that we're there because, you know, Perlman is fleeing the scene after everything that went down in Chapter 3 and Chapter 2 and Chapter 1. He's everywhere. But, you know, we go from it being solely about finding Perlman to suddenly it's about the Sons of Caledon. Which I don't think is really a spoiler because I think they say that in the trailers, that we're solely focused on the Sons of Caledon, basically. Which is not a problem, right? Because the characters are great, and that's all that matters. So many good characters come in Chapter 4, and I genuinely think it is very, very good. Because now, people are going to want to pull for these characters. And you're probably wondering, well, what characters are we on about here? Byron, what characters are you talking about? Well, it's very, very simple, okay? I'm going to give you the quickest yet non-spoilery rundowns of every single character and my thoughts on them as quickly as humanly possible. Caesar defied my expectations. I thought she was going to be a bland and boring character, but she actually has some complexity to her. Good on you, writers. Good on you. Bernice. Yeah. Bernice is so good, man. Such a fun character. You even get to play as her for a little bit. I think you get to like one mission with Bernice, Caesar, and I think it's Lucy. I could be wrong on that one. My memory is very foggy when it comes to that stuff because all I'm thinking about is how can I obliterate something with the Jane Doe team. But Bernice, really cool character. Lucy has gone up in my estimations in this story. Lucy's a cool character. I'm still not vibing with Piper. I don't know what her shtick is, and you'll see what I mean in the story. She's still quite one of those characters for me. And Lighter's really cool, right? I'll keep it real. I was gonna pull for Lighter anyway, but you know, we are going for Lighter. When he comes out, trust. And then we can talk about some of the characters that aren't actually playable, which are the Vanquishers. I won't spoil too much about who they are, but that's like the rival biker gang, led by Pompey. Pompey is so cool, man. Oh my god, I need to talk about things, right? I'm gonna be writing down the spoiler review so fast for this because there is so much to talk about with characters like Pompey. He's so cool, and I hope to God that Pompey is playable at some point, man. He's not going to be. Alright, I have to accept this. But I really hope someday this man is playable. Please. Please, he's so cool, man. Like, everything about this story was really, really good because it never felt like we stayed on one thing too long, but it also wasn't like a here's this and then here's this and then here's this and here's this. It all revolves around one thing, one central idea, and everything around that. And I think that's probably the best type of writing, is when you have that main conflict, that main sort of like focus point in a story, and then everything around it leads into one big moment. It's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I do think it's definitely worth playing this update. It really is, okay? I had a lot of fun with it. I think the Outer Ring is a very fun setting. Yeah, we can talk about the setting. It's incredible, man. Like, going through the world, experiencing it, just how it looks. It's so different to, like, New Eridu, to Luminous Square, to even, like, the Scott Outpost, it's so different to everything else, and it's the scenery building and just the way that the world looks that makes Zenless so good. And I think the Outer Ring is such a massive representation of that, and I really enjoy it. So, you know, even if you are gonna skip the story, please take the time to look around the Outer Ring. It's so cool, right? It's like a desert, it's like Western Evil, so biker gang kind of vibe. It's my kind of vibe, you know, and I genuinely think a lot of the people will too. The lack of TVs, right? This isn't a spoiler. This is, you know, get yourself prepared. It makes things so much smoother, but at the same time, I feel like there's just something missing, if that makes sense. It might just be because I'm so used to the TVs in the story. The one time they're not in there, and they're not going to be in there anymore for story content, it feels weird, right? It feels like I'm kind of in this, like, new game, essentially, right? It's still Zenless, but it feels completely different, and it's not off-putting, but it's a bit like, wow, I got through this way quicker than, like, any other story. I started playing it when the update came out, and then I beat it literally in probably, it took me about like 2 hours, which I think is shorter than any other time I've played through any of the other stories. I think Undercover R&B is different because it's kind of like a side quest, right? So I don't know if I necessarily count that. But it's definitely the shortest, and I think the fact that they're doing all the optimization and, like, the changing of the TV system and getting rid of it for story is gonna help people be able to get through the story quicker without, you know, being like, oh, now I have to play through the TVs. So if you're not a fan of the TVs, you can rejoice because they've gotten rid of them in the story, and it makes things quicker. Is that a good thing? Yeah, because I feel like people need to enjoy the story in the cutscenes rather than going cutscene, action, cutscene, TVs for like 30 minutes, cutscene, TVs for like an hour. It does help. I don't know how to feel about it as somebody who likes the TVs and was hoping that they would find more unique ways to use them rather than just getting rid of them in certain parts of the game, but hey, if it makes more people happy and more people are going to play the game, then it's fine by me. I'm happy to just sit here and get through the story in like 2 hours. But overall thoughts, spoiler-free score. Bear in mind, I gave like chapter 1, I gave like, I forget what I gave. I think I gave it like a 2.5. Chapter 1 wasn't great. Chapter 2 was a 5 out of 5. Chapter 4 was probably like a 4.25. This is a 4.5 out of 5. It's a very good story. And I think if you're one of those people who likes the story, and if you like any of the characters involved, you're going to love this. Trust me. But those were my spoiler-free thoughts. I would say, what are your thoughts on the story? Let me know in the comments below. But let's try and keep it relatively spoiler-free. Alright, let's try and keep it relatively spoiler-free. If you haven't played it yet, are you excited for it? Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, see ya.